Has Sakura surpassed the Sannin? This is a topic that's been around for ages, and I mean at least since the end of the series, if not the war arc, and even heading into the Boruto era, people are still asking this question, just to be met with answers clouded by personal bias or mob mentality, maybe even both. Since I myself once had the question on how strong Sakura is, and after looking it up online, I was met with quite literally no answers other than people saying she's useless. I've decided I'll make a video on it for the individuals who are actually looking for what they need or just to set the record straight. Although I don't think this video will get many views because people hate this character, which nicely transitions us to the most unfortunate part of Sakura's character, which is people really don't like her, and saying that is an understatement. She is hated, despised, disliked, scorned, whatever word you want to use for it, but the point still stands. And why exactly? You ask 99% of the people who say these things about her and the response will always be the same. It's either, she made fun of an orphan about being an orphan to another orphan, which happened in part 1 by the way and she still hasn't lived it down, or she's useless, which just isn't true if you actually read the series, or the extreme psychos who just hate her because she's female. The reason I bring all this up is because no matter what Sakura does in the manga feat-wise, people will always disregard it because of their own personal distaste of her character, even when it comes to statements made about her from either other characters in the verse or by the author himself in data books. People will sweep them under the rug and start making excuses about why it can't possibly be true by throwing out words like narrative or plot armor, or will even go and say the statement is out of context when the context is clearly given. Now, to get to if she actually surpassed the Sannin, it's simply yes, she has, especially by the Boruto era, since that's her strongest form. She's far surpassed her mentors, and you can even argue she surpassed Tsunade back in the war arc. But since this video is just has she surpassed the Sannin, more specifically Tsunade, I will just use her strongest form, so the Boruto era adult Sakura. There's a few ways we can use that put Sakura over Sannin tier, such as narrative and theme, statements, and while admittedly her feats are pretty lackluster and rare combat wise, we will still use a couple of them. Starting with narrative and theme, it's really simple and not a lot to actually talk about, but the common theme that's been reiterated all throughout Naruto by Kakashi and others is that the new generation will always surpass the previous, which is shown in the 4th Great Ninja War when Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura complete the new 3-way deadlock, and they're directly compared to the Sannin there, and narratively it just makes sense that yeah, these 3 main characters have surpassed their mentors, aka the old generation, and are now taking on challenges that the Sannin couldn't handle. I'm not saying at this exact point is when they surpass the Sannin individually, because we know that's just not true in Naruto and Sasuke's place. I do however believe when Sakura unlocked her Byakugo seal is the moment she surpassed Tsunade. There are quite a bit of actual statements that hype up Sakura or even lay the groundwork for her surpassing Tsunade in the future, like when Chiyo, someone who was often compared to Tsunade back in the day, says Sakura would surely become a kunoichi even greater than your master. And even while Chiyo admits inferiority to Tsunade when it comes to neutralizing poisons, even though that's her specialty, a 15-year-old Sakura does what Chiyo couldn't in just 2 panels, effortlessly mind you. Kakashi also hypes up a start of Shippuden Sakura during the start of their reunion fight, saying she may become an even greater ninja than the 5th, along with Jiraiya saying it would seem as though you've raised another Tsunade while watching the same fight. This is all just to say that the groundwork for Sakura surpassing Tsunade was laid very early on, and while this isn't hard facts and proof that she 100% did become greater than her master just because it was foreshadowed, it's to point out that this was the plan from the beginning and it shouldn't be a surprise and be thought of as like out of nowhere when it does happen. I've obviously alluded to the comparison to the Sannin during the war arc when the 3-way deadlock was reintroduced, but it was actually first by Minato when he says, "I never imagined I'd get to see the triad simultaneously summoned again," and then Hiruzen in his mind pictures Orochimaru, Jiraiya, and Tsunade when looking at them, further pushing my point from earlier. This one's a little more contentious, but there's the statement by Hashirama saying, "What monster strength? It might even be greater than Tsunade's." And the problem with this, if I'm not mistaken, it's that Tsunade would have been anywhere around 2 to 4 years old at the time of his death, so the statement is kind of wild if you look at it like that. But the real most honest way to look at it is that it's just an author writing mistake. The war arc has tons of writing issues within it, from Kishimoto being put under a lot of stress and pressure from Shonen Jump, so it's just kind of one of those things that unless you're lying to yourself, it's just an author's writing mistake, and Kishimoto forgot the age timeline and stuff like that. But the statement still stands that this Sakura, without fully or partially releasing the seal, hits at least relative to, if not stronger than Tsunade. If you want to take it the other way, that Sakura's punch that took out most of the Jubi army, killing more than any other person on panel, being possibly greater than a baby Tsunade, then like, okay, sure. There's more stuff backing up that she surpassed the Sannin than just this one statement, so it's not the end of the world. Getting into data books is where a lot of the Sakura surpassing Tsunade statements are made, and comparisons are drawn between her and stronger people, and keep in mind these are official from the author himself. We all know the ones of her being compared to Naruto and Sasuke, so I'll go over those and throw them on screen now. This one is in both the data books and the manga, and it's pretty clear, but it's when Team 7 reunites and Sakura says, "Lady Tsunade, it looks like I finally caught up to them," about EMS Sasuke and KCM2 Naruto, with the data book entry for this having two quotes being, "To rescue Sasuke from darkness, to obtain the strength to protect the two, she underwent an extremely strict training," followed by, "She strongly leant against their two backs, which she had just reached." There's two ways you can take these. You can go with the very literal and say she's 100% equal to these two, which then puts her above the Sannin, or she is relative and if they fight she's not holding them back and in return she can hold her own and provide help in ways that others can't, making her useful to the team. This statement was made about her freshly after completing the seal and not about when it's released, by the way. The next databook entry about her is when Naruto and Sasuke get their 6-path powers, and they go on to fight Madara with Sakura opening her seal and rushing in first to create a diversion. This is the context for the statement that says, "Not losing to Naruto and Sasuke, she personally comes forth with the formidable enemy Madara as her opponent." This one is crazy because it's essentially saying, even with Naruto and Sasuke getting these huge power-ups, when Sakura releases her Byakuyo seal, she still remains relative to them in all the ways I mentioned earlier. Finally, we have, now that they've grown up, she'll never fall behind, not even in collaboration with the two of them, from when they worked together to seal Kaguya, and this one doesn't need me to explain it. I mean, it's pretty clear cut as to what that means, and I'd rather not get into the whole Kaguya situation in depth because I've done it before in my adult Sakura versus Itachi video, so go check that out if you want to hear me talk about that more. But Sakura did blitz Kaguya. Among these direct comparisons to Naruto and Sasuke databook statements, there are also the ones that flat out saying she surpassed Tsunade in terms of medical ninjutsu, with the exact entry being she grew to be the best medical ninja in Konoha in the twinkle of an eye. Those are all the War Arc databook statements I'll be using for Sakura that pretty clearly puts her above the Sannin tier in my opinion, and I know a lot of people hate them and have their own feelings about it, so you can choose what you want to do with that information. As for overall capabilities of Sakura and Tsunade, they are practically identical. Sakura stole her whole bag, and anything Tsunade can do, Sakura can do it the same, if not better. But where Sakura gains even more of an edge is obviously her youth, giving her more potential. Even though Tsunade has superior genes, Sakura with the new generation over their old theme, and not needing to constantly focus chakra on changing her appearance, along with the fact she's fought against stronger opponents than Tsunade, you'd have to do some crazy mental gymnastics to say she's anything less than equal to Sannin by the end of Shippuden. Moving on to adult Sakura, we need to get something out of the way, and that is adult Sakura is stronger than War Arc Sakura. For some reason, I still see people who say adult Sakura isn't any stronger than War Arc Sakura, and sometimes even saying she's weaker than she was in the War Arc. So let me just say this. This is War Arc Sakura. She's not as strong as Kaguya Fight Sakura. Kaguya Fight Sakura is not as strong as adult Boruto Era Sakura. Since Sakura is like basically absent from the Boruto manga, the only thing we can go off is novels and the Naruto movie The Last for feats and statements, but I'd rather not get too deep into everything in her novel and other novels. So for the highlights really, in the movie, which is more canon than the novel, it said she's flat out resistant to genjutsu, when even the likes of Naruto got put under, and I would like to add that this genjutsu was placed by Toneri Otsutsuki. The Gaara novel states that his taijutsu is a higher class than every medical ninja except Sakura, which Tsunade would be included in that, so Sakura's taijutsu is in a different class and so much better that it cannot be compared to Tsunade's. In her own novel, she was able to catch and repel a lightning release jutsu, and then the craziest part of it all is, later in the novel, that same move, which is a lightning release jutsu, got amped and was made quote unquote several orders of magnitude faster and more destructive than previously, and she still dodges this, but let me walk you through that, okay? An order of magnitude is basically times 10. So 2 orders of magnitude is times 100 and 3 is times 1000, right? So a couple is 2, a few is 3, and several is 4 to 5, okay? So this lightning release jutsu is now 4 orders of magnitude faster, so 10,000 times. And you want to know what's 3,000 times faster than lightning? Light is. If you've kept up, you probably see where I'm going with this. But Sakura dodged an attack that was at least 3 times faster than light. Before everyone gets on me for the Kaido fight, apparently everyone seemed to have missed this while reading the novel, but Sakura was given a drug that made it so she couldn't mold chakra, like in the slightest. It took her over a whole conversation with 2 people that she was stalling just to focus enough chakra to break normal chains that were holding her. So trying to downplay Sakura from early parts of this fight just doesn't make sense since she's like incapable of using her own chakra. Not to mention, Kaido thinks he can take on Hokage Kakashi, which is stated to be stronger than he was in the War Arc, but let's not get into that here. I've talked long enough, and I've given what I believe to be more than enough for one to see that she surpassed Tsunade and even the Sannin by at least the Boruto era, if not by the end of Shippuden. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Try not to come for my throat too hard in the comments.